Do you often find yourself curious about the Neanderthals? These prehistoric people lived throughout a huge swath of what is now Eurasia, dating back more than 300,000 years. Many commonly held beliefs about them are untrue. Contrary to popular misconception, Neanderthals were not bent over, but rather had an upright posture. They also had a spoken language and displayed artistic and musical abilities. This video delves into some of the peculiar actions of Neanderthals, such as their dietary habits, medical practices, and the reasons for their eventual extinction. Stick around until the end to learn some surprising facts about these ancient creatures. So, who exactly were the Neanderthals? Scientists called them Homo neanderthalensis and Homo sapiens neanderthalensis. They are generally named Neanderthals or Neanderthals. These names come from the Neander Valley in Germany, which is called Neanderthal in German, where their remains were first found and studied by scientists. Interestingly, this region was named after a theologian and hymnist from Germany named Joachim Meander, whose surname translates to New Man. According to a number of experts, the Neanderthals first appeared around 400,000 years ago. From Belgium in the north to the Mediterranean in the south of the Eurasian continent, these early beings that looked like people have been found. This area has a lot of canvas made of limestone. Over a long time, bones and other natural materials have been very much saved in these caves. Because of this, numerous Neanderthal bones have been tracked down in these caves, prompting the name cavemen for these elderly folks individuals. During this time, the Neanderthals and other old species seemed as though people lived respectively. The Denisovans were active in Asia, while Homo heidelbergensis made its home in Africa. In 1856, a group of quarry workers discovered some ancient fossils in the Feldhofer cave located near the Neander Valley, near Dusseldorf, Germany. These fossils were the first Neanderthal remains to be scientifically examined. Among the remains were most of a skull, although the face was missing, and fragments of several arm and leg bones. The limbs were distinct from those of modern humans. Additionally, crude tools and remains from extinct animals were found alongside the new species. There was a heated debate as to the identity of the bones. Some believed they belonged to an ancient human, while others suggested they might be from someone more modern. Still, some suggested the possibility of a new species of human. In 1886, 2 additional fossil skeletons were discovered in Spy, Belgium, a few decades after the first Neanderthal skeleton was found. This gave additional proof to the individuals who accepted that the Neanderthals were a distinct species. Over 200 Neanderthal remaining parts have been found to date, with more than 70 of them being adults or young people. These remaining parts were found in various areas, with the most established arriving back over 200,000 years and the latest going back approximately 36,000 years. There is a debate among scientists regarding the timeline of Neanderthals' persistence. They may have existed for a long time, according to some researchers, but only in the Iberian Peninsula. It is estimated that it has been about 24,000 years since Neanderthals were last spotted in this region. On the off chance that the previous date is acknowledged, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens coincided for around 10,000 years. Neanderthals had had enough genetic similarities to early humans that they could produce offspring. In terms of physical characteristics, they were more alike than people may assume. The first Homo sapiens had different body structures than modern humans. Although they would have had to be somewhat similar to Neanderthals to survive in their environment, scientists can distinguish the two when studying specimens. It is worth noting that Neanderthals would have reared with other early human species also, as we have found fossils of people who were part Neanderthal, part Denisovan, or one or more kind of early human. Back in 2010, a paleogeneticist named Swath figured out how to sequence the whole Neanderthal hereditary sequence utilizing DNA from 3 skeletons found in Croatia. This breakthrough paved the way for scientists to conduct genetic tests on Neanderthal remaining parts and contrast them with current human DNA. Researchers have discovered that around 2% of the nuclear DNA of many Europeans is Neanderthal. More DNA research demonstrates that these ancient humans were not particularly sociable and lived in isolated little groups of 10 to 30 people. Interestingly, a Harvard geneticist named George Church believes that a Neanderthal clone could potentially be created by implanting the genetic material into a human woman. Church sees potential benefits in doing this, as he believes that the Neanderthal mind and human mind are fundamentally different. In his view, A being with a mix of Neanderthal and human DNA could potentially solve problems that humans alone cannot. Be that as it may, this idea stays questionable and still can't seem to be incorporated. Researchers have had the option to recreate the presence of Neanderthals by studying their remaining parts and hereditary qualities. Based on these studies, it is believed that Neanderthals had larger eye-nasal openings and eyebrows that protruded further than modern humans. They also had a larger skull base and shorter legs compared to their arms, as well as broader chests than humans. The average height for Neanderthal males was 5'5", 165 centimeters, and for females, it was 5 even, 153 centimeters. Contrary to common misconception, Neanderthals did not walk like Frankenstein or had a hunched back. While experts once thought they might have had a posture somewhere between humans and primates, scientists now believe that Neanderthals stood upright and had straight spines. The misconception about their posture comes from an early reconstruction of a Neanderthal skeleton, which turned out to have arthritis that gave him a hunchback appearance. The Neanderthals likely wore clothing and shoes due to the colder climate they lived in compared to the present day. The clothes they had were made from animal hides and were likely loose-fitting, similar to a modern-day poncho. There is fossil evidence that indicates they could create threads and possessed a basic understanding of weaving. In addition, it has been established that Neanderthals were skilled artists. This was made clear by the presence of cavern works of art situated in present-day Spain, which have been dated to a period before people moved to the district. It is thought that the Neanderthals themselves made the artworks. Even though the idea that Neanderthals made music is still up for question, scientists have found something that looks like a flute at a dig site in Slovenia. Many scientists believe that Neanderthals must have spoken a language. This belief is supported by genetic research that indicates they possessed the gene necessary for speech and language, in addition to their ability to develop tools. These findings suggest that Neanderthals were more advanced than previously thought and had complex cognitive abilities. They also buried their dead and cared for sick or injured members of their group, which suggests communication through speech. But we don't know what kind of speech they had, and we don't know if it was as complex as the first humans. Scientists use various methods to understand extinct species, one of which involves studying their diet. To determine the food habits of ancient creatures, they examine fossilized teeth tartar, bone collagen, and even fossilized feces. They found that Neanderthals ate many different kinds of food, most of which depended on what they could find in their environment. Meals had meat, fish, and vegetables, but each group ate different things. For example, those living near the sea predominantly consumed aquatic animals, while forest dwellers subsisted on plants and small game. Similarly, those residing in the Mediterranean steppes region hunted and consumed large mammals. It is thought that Neanderthals didn't just find food by digging, but also gathered plants to use as medicine. Researchers have discovered chamomile and yarrow in the plaque of Neanderthal teeth, both known for their anti-inflammatory properties. Furthermore, evidence suggests that Neanderthals may have nursed their injured back to health. For instance, a Neanderthal fossil named Nandy was found to have lost an arm when he was young, along with 2 broken legs, partial blindness, hearing loss, and degenerative disease. Experts believe that he died between the ages of 30 to 45 and would not have been able to survive on his own. Neanderthals likely relied on their community to provide aid to the sick or injured. When they could not heal their group members, they may have buried them, as evidenced by intentionally moved earth and marks from animal teeth. Leaving bodies uncovered would have attracted predators, and burying them protected the remains from the elements. The reason behind the burials is unknown, whether it was for mourning, religious practices, or a practical way of keeping scavengers away from the surviving group. Regardless, these burials have helped to preserve Neanderthal remains for study today. Many scientists wonder where a certain group of people went. This mystery has puzzled many, as the remains of these individuals only go back until the start of the most recent glacial period. The majority of scientists believe that this group did not survive the sudden shift in climate during that time period. This was a tough time for all, as the climate was extremely cold, and the sea level was higher than usual, meaning resources were scarce. Modern humans were also entering Europe at the same time, and there would not have been enough resources for both groups. Due to climate change, plants were dying and animals were migrating, which would have made hunting difficult for this group. On the other hand, modern humans had a diverse diet and even had long-distance trade networks at this time, unlike other human species. This gave them an advantage and was probably a key reason why they were able to survive through the new ice age while the other group did not. Some people think that humans hunted down and killed all the Neanderthals, but most experts don't agree with this idea. While there might have been a few conflicts between the two groups during seasons of shortage, there is no proof of the enormous scope of violence between humans and Neanderthals. Along with changes in climate, some scientists propose that early humans may have introduced a disease that they were resistant to, but Neanderthals were not. This could explain the rapid decline of the Neanderthal population. Did you find any of these details surprising? Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting.